What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Pod Scum. I am your bastard of ceremonies, your host, Reckless Rexx Ruger, the one and only. Of course, joined by the Freddie Mercury puppet. His teeth are out and in full effect. He's excited. I'm excited. We're going to have another great episode here, man. And I can't wait. Let me give myself a look. Ooh, damn. My guest is here right now, man. So I digress, man. No more admiring myself. Let's just get down to it, man, and chop it up. Of course, you know, this is where all the cool kids come to chop it up with your boy, Rexx Ruger. And tonight is no different. We got a fucking great one. Let's get down to it. KARL Agell, take two.
What's up? Can you see me okay?
See you and hear you great. Much better than the last time, man. So obviously, man, your internet is back up and running. For people that don't know, man, we tried this a couple days ago, but you were in the midst of some internet issues.
Literally, just like in a small block radius. It was just fucking nuts. It was for some reason it was for 48 hours, and then again for like it came back for like 10 hours, and went away for like a day. Anyways, whatever, you know.
The internet literally
problems, right?
I'm trying to realize that the internet literally has us at at its will. It really does.
Yes, it does. We're completely at its fucking mercy. So.
We are. There's nothing we can do about it, man. But I'm super happy to have you back on, man. Was just jamming that Lie Heavy album again to get inspired for this episode, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I fucking love this album, man. I will talk it up to whoever will listen. I will badger them. I will force it upon them, man. I really love it, man. And I've always loved the sound of your voice, man. And I don't remember what specifically I asked. I have my notes from the last time, so I'll probably rehash all of it again. So
it's fine. It's fine, man. I'm a talker, man. Let's do this. Let's go rambling, man. Let's do this.
I mean, forgive me for that, man. But I want to start at the beginning, man. Was there a specific album or an artist or a song that really set you on this trajectory to do music?
I came from a house. I was very fortunate, actually. We've been doing a bunch of cleanup this weekend, and my wife has been down there like collating all the vinyl, and there's literally like thousands of records.
Yeah.
And cleaning up just long time stuff we're actually getting around to, and so much of that is from albums from the 60s and the 70s and on into the 80s that were acquired with my family, especially when I was a little kid. And we always had these great, just a huge variety of music in the house. My mom was a Beatles fanatic and had like all the vinyl and all that. So there was always, and lots of other records too, but there was always music in the house. And my dad, when he was still around, he bought this insane fucking stereo system back in the day that I still have all the pieces. So it was always like lots of albums and a really good sound system. And I was always listening to music, and I had two older sisters that turned me on to all the amazing bands. Charlotte, she was born in 1959. She was coming of age. She turned me on to Zeppelin and all that. And then Anna came a little bit later, and she was turning me on to all this like punk and new wave. And so there was always something in the house. So the first thing that really blew my mind, I remember as a little kid, was when my parents had this German pressing of Jesus Christ Superstar. With Ian Gillan singing the part of Jesus, right? And I'm not trying to get all religious, or I'm not preaching here, but just the album and the performances of that, I was like blown away. Who's this Ian Gillan guy? And then I discovered Deep Purple through that, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And then I from a young age too, I embraced Thin Lizzy and then all these punk bands and Motorhead, and I just got sucked into the swirl. And by the time I was in high school in the early 80s, I'm showing my age here, but I'd moved to the U.S. I didn't actually grow up in the United States. I moved here when I was 15 years old, and became part of the Connecticut hardcore scene. And as a 16-year-old, was asked to start singing for this band called Seizure in the Connecticut hardcore scene in the southern part of Connecticut. And that's how it happened, man. I just got sucked in. I didn't know I could sing, and I just kind of grabbed the mic and started screaming. And then years later, I kind of figured out, hey, I can I can hold a tune, you know? So.
Well, and I think I might have asked you this last time. You're talking about grabbing the mic and screaming, man, but you know, you still sound great, and I wouldn't typify you as you know, somebody that sings rock. You know, you've got your many different kinds of people in the metal world. You know, your barkers, your growlers, you know, I mean, you actually have technical ability to sing, but do you take any type of care of your voice or ascribe to any kind of a routine of any kind?
Absolutely not.
No.
No, and I should. And at the certain points in my life, I have. I'm just joking around, but right now, you know, not so much. I should be, and I have lots of good friends that are great singers that have all kinds of great methods. And I've been hanging out with Scott Riegers doing the Legions of Doom thing. We split vocal duties live, and he's always got a cup of tea and lozenges and everything, you know, set up and always sharing with me. So he's totally like a master of that and taking care of his stuff, you know, his pipes.
He's setting a good example.
Yeah, he's setting a good example. I often do not lead by example. I just got to jump in and go. And right now you can hear my speaking voice is turned into this scratchy mess.
Yeah.
You know, but it's, you know, I sing like an angel.
You do. You really do, though.
I'm just kidding. I'm just talking shit.
I mean, because you know, you do hear, you know, we're making light of it, but you do hear a lot of these guys, you know, over the years, man. You know what I mean? You know, obviously, it's an irresponsible comparison to expect people to replicate what they did years and years ago, and we do unfairly see a lot of people on YouTube kind of getting blown in for, you know what I mean, like not still having the chops that they did years and years ago, and having to use these different tricks and smoke and mirrors. By the way, like, what's your opinion on that? Like when you see a band, like, you know, like let's say, for instance, you know, the last couple of years, especially I've seen on YouTube where bands like Motley Crue or Kiss, you know what I mean? Like, you know, I'm not a musician myself, but when you see these bands, you know, using these tricks to kind of beef up their sound and backing tracks and this kind of stuff, would you rather go see a band and have it be a great show and know that they did that? Or do you like when you go plop down your money, you want to see a band kind of, you know, warts and all, so to speak, even if they're not so great?
I'm old school, and my punk rock roots tells me I always want to see warts and all.
Yeah.
I'd rather have an honest fail than a, you know, if I want perfection, then I can fucking put the album on, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you know, people rag on fucking Vince Neil. Yeah, Vince Neil's Vince Neil, whatever. That's a whole other bag of fucking crap. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm not gonna touch that.
Right.
You know, I mean, whatever. I think I don't, you know, I have nothing against the guy, but I don't think he was an amazing singer to begin with.
Right.
But that's, hey, I'm not the best either. So, you know, whatever. I'm not talking shit on him. I'm just saying people have these crazy expectations, and there's just people that have it, and there's people that don't, and there's everything in between. And so we all have good days and bad days.
Sure.
It's hard when you're a singer, your voice is your instrument, and if you don't feel well, you know, it's hard to fake it sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just a lot of it is luck of the draw, and which the prevailing fucking wins and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes the will triumphs over the body's failings, and sometimes you fall apart. But I think if you set out with good intentions and you're honest and you're trying, people can sense that, you know.
And I think it's unfair too. Like it seems like everybody nowadays, you know, is at shows and they're pulling out their phone, and it's not to record the moment for posterity or to have a memory on there. It seems like everybody can't wait to go home and just blow these bands in on YouTube and play Music Critic, you know?
Well, you know what? Fuck them. They don't have fucking bands.
Right.
The whole gotcha thing and the whole, you know, shooting from the hip. Like I know something because I got a fucking phone, and
I hate it.
You know, and this whole, you know, I've got a 5-second attention span, if that, generation of people. And it's not just young people. I'm not talking shit on young people. It's a lot of people way older than me and you that have subscribed to this horse shit.
Oh yeah.
That are fucking buying into this fucking bullshit, fucking, you know, talking shit on people. Hey, you know what? You want to do fucking better? Go out there. I want to see you fucking try.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Deep Purple went out with Ian Gillan. A lot of people are talking shit about him. I'm like, my God. The guy has nothing to prove, man. He fucking has nothing to prove. The fact that he's still standing and fucking doing it, just respect that. You know what I mean? And look, we all have good days and bad days. We're all in this together. Stop being so hypercritical. Put your fucking phone down. Be in the moment. Enjoy the goddamn show.
Yeah.
Enjoy the fucking show. I'm sorry. It just pisses me off.
It does me too. It does me too. And I especially ascribe to the living in the moment. I love the living in the moment sentiment too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you know, if you want to pull out your phone and get like a snippet or whatever, you know, to show somebody or whatever, but some of these people are just, it's the whole fucking show with the goddamn thing up, you know?
Well, fuck you. You gave them your money, right?
Yeah.
You gave them your money. So the joke's on you, asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
And by the way, I started the interview out by, obviously I certainly want to like address your whole resume. I'm just so into the lie everything, but you know, yeah, it made me think about it. Made me think about it. You're wearing the Patriarchs in black.
No, you're not bumming me out, man. That's my jam, you know.
Well, I mean, you're wearing the Patriarchs in black shirt. People might know you from that. Might know you from Legions of Doom. Well, you know, you obviously mentioned Seizure, Leadfoot, your time in Corrosion of Conformity or whatever. So, I mean, you know, it's a killer resume.
School of Violence, King Hitter, you know,
yeah,
a bunch of bullshit, you know.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, man, when you get together with the lie, you know, with the Lie Heavy guys, I'll specifically focus on that project. What's the creative process like? Are you guys all getting together and is it collaborative and very democratic, or is somebody kind of coming in with the lion's share of the ideas? Like, what's the, you know, how's the workload distributed?
That's actually an interesting question, but generally, Graham Fry is the impetus. You know, he used to play in Confessor. I don't know if you remember them. When I first moved to North Carolina and joined Corrosion of Conformity back in '89, the other like huge band in town was Confessor.
Yep.
And they were like, you know, we were coming from the punk angle. They're coming at it from the fucking straight up fucking metal prog fucking angle, doom angle. And they were amazing. And we're friends, but rivals kind of. And, and Graham was part of that original version. And I've always had mad respect for him. And then, you know, he joined Leadfoot, and he was on the, you know, the first two Leadfoot albums. So I've been around him for a long time, and he's a brilliant songwriter besides being an incredible technician on the guitar, like a brilliant guitar player, but he's always had some mad riffs and mad ideas. So a lot of it comes from him just walking in or even sending me stuff, you know, like, hey man, check this out. You know, and then he'll track something on his GarageBand or one of his programs he's gotten and send stuff to me. And I just hear, you know, I think, you know, his stuff's great. So I get, you know, I respond to it, and then I just start riffing on ideas myself. So he's pretty much the guy. It has been, but so it's me and him doing it, and then JD on drums. JD comes up, and he's a great arranger. He kind of looks at the parts and says, "Hey, let's try this. Let's try this." He understands the narrative, like he understands the trajectory. So everybody's super easy to work with. And you know, Graham walks in, but it becomes a communal, a team effort, and we hash stuff out, and we just laugh and enjoy doing it. You know, it's just easy.
That's the important part. That's the important part.
It's like really fucking fun.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a struggle. We basically have written most of the next album. Just full disclosure, and JD's cool with this, but he is going in for shoulder surgery on October 3rd. I'm not sure when you're going to put this out, but that's really, really soon.
Yeah.
That's just in a couple of days. And he's going to be out of commission for live shows for, who knows, anywhere from 2 to 6 months. We got his back, whatever he needs to do to get well.
Sure.
He has fucking worn that fucking shoulder out for 40 years playing live.
Yeah.
You know, 40, literally in the music scene for 40. And so, so my point of my rambling point here is that we're working on the songs right now. And there's basically an album's worth of stuff written already, but we're going to try to write about 10 more and then kind of call the herd and put out the best 10. You know what I mean?
And when you write, are you somebody that you know, goes and sequesters yourself away and says, okay, I'm going to write? Or are you a guy that's just kind of, you know, getting sparks of inspiration like throughout the day and jotting stuff down or putting stuff on your phone?
Yeah, I'm number 2 right there. I'm sparks, man. I just like things just pop up and, you know, I'll be walking the dog and sometimes she'll be like, why are you fucking stopping? I'm like, oh, I got to write this down. You know, she's like, walk interrupted, you know, so.
Oddly enough, I get a lot of guys on here who say they get a lot of great ideas in the car.
I do too. The car is great because you're isolated. You can crank up that demo, that riff, or, you know, and or you know, you can. It's a really good place to be, actually. It's one of the times besides sitting on the toilet, right? That you get to be alone. You know what I mean? You know, and fucking focus. You know, I write all my shit when I'm shitting, man.
I write all my shit when I'm shitting, literally. Yeah. All this shit comes out when my shit's coming out.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows that, right? Isn't that how you do it?
Now, as a fan of music, when you get time to actually sit back and listen for your own enjoyment, are you somebody that's I was guilty of this for a long time, and I'm trying to be better now that I've been doing this podcast for so long about giving new artists a platform, because I know it's tough out there. Every new fan, really means a lot. You know what I mean? Even if it's a couple people view the episode and become fans or whatever, everybody is vying to be heard. You know what I mean? Are you able to find any new music these days that excites you? Or when you listen to music, do you kind of fall back on your old standards? I was guilty of that for the longest time. If I'm going to clean the house or do anything, listen to some music, I was always like, oh my God, I'm listening to fucking Master of Puppets again, or I'm listening to something from the fucking 80s,
Yeah. Listen, I fall into both camps. I am guilty of just being like, oh, these are comfortable shoes,
right.
So I'm like, I'll put on the shit, or I'm like literally listening to like fucking old soul and R&B stuff just because it's really like well written and comforting, and you know what I mean? I go in these waves. And then what rips me out of it is when I leave the house and I get to play shows and I'm exposed to like incredible talent at these festivals. So I just recently played with Legions of Doom down at Ripple Fest.
Mm-hmm.
And then the weekend before that, we played in Braintree in a Widowmaker Brewing with like Gozu and fucking Dozer and we played with Doomcraft and fucking Ripple Fest, and then Raleigh and Desert Fest, like all the High Desert Queen and like all these great bands. So that's when I get exposed to stuff and go like, holy fucking shit, there's other people bringing it. So
it's out there.
It's out there, and it's easy to get stuck in a bubble, but I often look to my friends and they make great recommendations. And then my peers are on these great fucking bands. And it's awesome, but you know how it is. Sometimes you got to fall back and, not like I'm putting on the classic rock station, but sometimes it's nice to just go back to those comfortable places, where you came from. So it just depends on my mood, but it runs the gamut. We're all guilty of just getting stuck in the old stuff.
Sure.
But I think for me, the live exposure is the best.
It's hard, I think, sometimes, man, because when I do follow the algorithm and I get on the streaming platform and I get like, hey, if you like this band, you might like this band. I've been trying to kind of go down that rabbit hole and kind of follow the algorithm and take suggestions like from the streaming app. But it's so hard sometimes to find stuff that really gets me, excited or doesn't feel like, hey, I've been here before,
Well, I mean, it's just, there's a lot of bands out there and it's a tough scene. I mean, for us back in the day when I was coming up, we had to go to a club to see a new band.
Yeah.
Or have somebody give us a cassette or a 7-inch or become a pen pal.
Right.
Back before the interwebs.
Yeah.
Right. And people, it kind of blows people's minds. But there was a time when we had to actively go seek it out and go to the club, or tune into that fucked up college station you could barely get in.
Right.
And, and so it's easy to kind of get lazy and sit back. But I think I'm trying to open my mind to that. There's still garage shows. There's still house parties, house shows. There's young bands coming out there, and I'm trying not to become the old guy on the lawn telling kids to get off. And I want to be there, down there
waving your fist.
I know. Part of me, I fight that fight every day, right? Like, you're doing this wrong,
Yeah.
I don't look at my fucking grandpa, right? But
I am a grandpa, so.
Oh goddamn! All right, I'm not. I might be. I just don't. I don't know them. I've never been introduced. I hope not. But and no, I'm just kidding. But I just I'm trying to keep an open mind. You know what I mean? And then that's the main thing with all of this is keep an open mind. But there's still some things that applied. For me, try to write a song for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm being old and cranky by saying that. I think that rule applies going back to the time of, the earliest people playing shit,
right.
Put some heart and soul into it. Don't bore us, get to the fucking chorus.
Yeah, yes.
No,
Do you think you think that's the problem with modern music? Because obviously there's only so many notes out there. There's only so many things you can do with your instrument. Do you think it's more of a lyrical thing? Do you think people aren't putting pen to paper and writing great songs?
I don't know. Well, lyrics are lyrics, right? So that's always going to be subjective, I guess. Well, also I'm a fan of good writing, and art in general and poetry and literature and all that. But I mean, that's, you can't always expect that from every musician. I mean, the best bands hit you on multiple levels, but I don't know. I'm not saying that you have to play by the rules. I think there's a lot of really great bands, especially in the doom genre lately, that I've discovered that are breaking down barriers and pulling in weird influences from across the board, especially the younger bands. It seems to be entering an interesting part of the cycle where they're drawing from strange and crazy, like noise influences or hardcore influences, or and there's some mixed genres, almost like jazz doom or ska doom or where the fuck it is, or metal that's mixed with this. I've always been a fan of that. I came out of the crossover scene, so I try not to be too judgmental because I want to know and understand. But I still think, just there's a lot of bands that just settle for like, hey, I've got this riff and that's that, and then they have somebody who's singing along with the fucking riff, and it's kind of like
phoning it in almost.
Phoning it in. But I don't know. I guess I just when you hear it, that artistic spark,
Yeah.
So it's hard to say.
Well, I love the fact, man, and I made note of some of the songs on there, man. There are a couple that really jumped out at me where I could really, certainly, the label on Lie Heavy is certainly going to be, as you said, the doom, the stoner, the sludge or whatever. But I could definitely hear some of that. I could definitely hear some of that punk influence, and I could really hear it on Drag the World and When the Universe Cries. It really seemed like there was kind of like a fast tempo of it really galloped along, and it really sounded punk to me.
And a little bit of Diabolic as well, I think.
Yeah. And Diabolic, yeah. And then of course the one I resonated with just by the title was The Long March, because I feel like that's my walk into my day job every fucking day.
that's our lives, brother.
That's my life. Yeah.
No, yeah. Yeah, no, thank you, man. I'm so glad and honored that you have made the deep dive.
Yeah.
I want Lie Heavy to get a platform and a foothold because I'm so proud of it. I'm so honored to be doing these other things too, but Lie Heavy's my baby. That's my local jam that I have full control of, and that's what I'm doing right here at home. So, but no offense to anything else I do. And I'm so proud to be in Legions and to do projects with other people like Patriarchs, and that's amazing. But Lie Heavy is, a little bit more something that comes straight from the hip and straight from the heart, because it's as easy. It's as easy,
Now, is that deliberate? Like, do you, how much of a hand do you have in arranging like the music? Like, I mean, is that purposeful? Like with a song like When the Universe Cries or Drag the World, is that, is that kind of inserted in there, purposefully, that punk aspect of it? Because I could really, really hear it, like just kind of the way that it chugged along, it wasn't really that slowed down, really slow, chunky, sound that you usually associate with doom. I mean, there's certainly elements of that on the album, man, but those two songs in particular, man, really, were really, kind of galloping along.
Well, I mean, we're also, the way that Motorhead interpreted metal and punk, I don't know, we're just, sometimes I would walk in and then somebody would have a riff, like Graham would have a riff. And I'd say, you know what? Let's try that fucking fast. Somehow I'm hearing that fast, I smoked enough weed or drank enough beer to say that or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But you get in the mindset of like, I think let's try that. And all of a sudden, like, fuck yeah, that works. That makes sense somehow, So it's just organic. It just kind of happens. I don't know if it's like any known intention. It's kind of maybe something that happens,
Well, but I like the fact that you're not feeling like you've got to fit into that stoner, doom box, because it is kind of like a tempo thing. Like when you're listening to a stoner or sludge or doom, whatever genre you want to call it, man, you're not expecting like a song to really be galloping along and have that kind of like a pacing, like when you're listening to that particular genre, and it's refreshing to hear on an album like that.
Well, thank you. We were never much for rules, and I never much was. You know what I mean?
Love
like
that.
That's how I came up, and I was just like, whatever, man. Like, hey, if I know it, if I like it, I like it. I give a fuck what it is,
Yeah.
And if it's done that way and that way, I had so many influences, and for me, if it works, it works. Like my band Leadfoot, coming out of the whole COC thing, we did 3 albums, and it was interesting. Leadfoot could play, and we opened for Quiet Riot, and then we opened up for the Drive-By Truckers, and then we'd open up for Neurosis, and then we opened up for like Metallium, and then we'd open up for nobody gave a fuck. We're like, whatever, dude. Like we don't give a shit.
Right.
We're just playing fucking rock and roll, man. Music, it's all rock and roll. So I've never subscribed to like it has to be just this or this. I think it's just when you know it, and if it feels right, it feels right, and that applies going forward with everything I do. So. With Light Heavy especially, it's like, man, look, if it's good, it's good. If it's not, it's not. And we understand we fall in the heavy camp, but we don't believe that we have to have every song sound the fucking same, because that's fucking boring. Every great band that we loved coming up, man, and inspired us, whether it was like The Who or Thin Lizzy or Deep Purple or Zeppelin or, who the fuck it was. I don't know. There's a billion other bands. Did they write just one fucking vibe, one fucking style,
Right.
I mean, it's just like, it's not like we're like, okay, let's write a fucking ballad or something. It's not like that. It's just like, this is what we feel. The emotion drives the song, or the song creates this is a moment. It's just fucking art. It's not a big deal. Just deal with it. And music, man, it shouldn't be so delineated, but I'm not faulting anybody for finding comfort with the what are they called when you're bowling and you put up the fucking rails and you don't want the ball to go off.
The bumpers.
The bumpers. Thank you. So you want to listen to music with bumpers? Hey, if that's your fucking jam, if you feel that's a safe space for you, that's great. You want to hear X amount of this or X amount of that? No problem, man. It's not for me, maybe, but I don't fault you for that. And I might like dig what you're doing, but don't come at me because I didn't fall exactly in your fucking on the train tracks or the Hot Wheel tracks that you laid out for me,
right
in your mind, so fuck it, man.
Now I think the last time that we talked, and even though I didn't record it and we weren't able to put that episode out, I think we touched a little bit on your time in COC, which I look back on that time and I really love. You were on the Blind album, correct? Yeah. I thought that was a fantastic album. They did follow it up with Deliverance, which was also an awesome album. I really liked when they, I certainly loved like when they did like the crossover, like the punk stuff. But I did like when they settled into that, for lack of a better word, I guess they kind of went in that same kind of direction too, of almost like sludge and doom. I don't know what you would call what genre like they are now or whatever. But do you look back on that album, because I think it is it's a seminal album, and I think it's looked upon, from the fans as an important album in their discography. Do you look back on it and with fond memories?
I do.
Obviously, I know the split didn't. You and the band, didn't go. I think it was pretty amicable, though. No, am I wrong?
No, it wasn't amicable at all.
Okay.
No, it was an ugly divorce, but I didn't really publicize that, and there's no benefit to go into much detail.
Sure,
I can.
Sure.
I can if you want, but it's just like whatever. It was, 30 plus years ago for all the youngsters out there. That's probably long. They probably haven't even been alive that long.
Right.
So it was a long fucking time ago.
But an incredible album.
Oh no, Blind. I poured my heart and soul to that. We spent 10 weeks in New York City. 10 weeks.
Yeah.
At Baby Monster recording that. 10 fucking weeks back with a big budget. Doing that. I could wear you out. We could do a whole interview about that album. I remember all of it. It was a trial by fire, but we had a lot of great ideas. We were young in our early 20s and on fire and fucking trying to bring it. We were like, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that.
Yeah.
And this pulling shit and out and trying it. And it was throwing shit against the wall. And it was a great moment. It was a really cool moment. And I'm super proud of it. We're just, part of it was winging it, part of it was planned. It just happened. And I'll stand by that stuff. And I stand by every lyric I wrote on there. I still feel the same way. My mind hasn't changed. Every word I wrote on that, along with Pepper and Phil Swisher, who wrote, you know, too. I stand by those words. They hold the test of time, and they're more important now than ever in the climate we're in. So yeah, I just nothing has changed there, and I'm you know, that was just an exciting time. The band had been dormant for a year and 4 months before I joined. You know, Simon Bob had left. And then I answered an ad in the Village Voice. This is pre-internet times. They had a classified section in the back of the Village Voice and said, looking for a cross between H.R. Ian Gillan and James Hetfield. And then there was another one that came out. And I was like, I saw the ad in the Village Voice because I used to read the classifieds. And I was like, oh, is this for real? And I had mutual friends. So I checked with them. And in fact, I'd seen them in 1984. I saw them in 85. My band Seizure opened up for them at the in Enfield, Connecticut, at some roller rink or something in '85. Saw them over and over again when they came through the tri-state area, you know, like Jersey, New York, Connecticut. I was a huge fan. And just when I saw that, I was like, man, I know we have mutual friends. I checked with them. They said, it's legit. Reed rode up with his girlfriend and the manager of the band, Karen Mason, at the time, and met me, and we hit it off, and he gave me a cassette with a bunch of stuff, and one of the songs was a song written by Phil Swisher, the bassist, that was called Buried, and I literally dreamt the lyrics and the vocal melodies to that, and showed up for my audition in May of '89 with that in my back pocket. They said, do you have anything? And I was like, yeah, and I just sang all the lyrics and vocal melodies I had, and then they kind of shit their pants. We're like, oh, goddamn, you know. Yeah. I got the gig. I'm not telling a lie, and I got the gig on the spot. Yeah. Now, Pepper Keenan had auditioned 8 months prior to me to be the vocalist. Didn't get the gig. Ended up being the second guitar player. Yada yada yada. Blah 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 blah. Who cares? You know. And then he was always gunning to be the singer, and he got his wish. You know. I was fired 5 weeks into the making of Deliverance by the producer, you know, and they told me I couldn't sing. I had no timing, no soul. I was dangerous. I was unapproachable, blah, blah, blah. Obviously, I'm a, you know, and I was like, okay. And it broke my heart, and I parted company with them. And then the Phil Swisher quit. He said, you've been railroaded, man. Let's go start something else. And we started Leadfoot. Yeah. And, you know, I'm not talking shit on Pepper. I'm not talking shit on Woody. I'm not talking shit. I'm friends with Mike Dean. He's, as you know, he's just left the band recently.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Reed Mullen apologized to me 8 years after it happened.
Rest in peace. Rest in peace to great Reed Mullen.
Rest in peace. Yep. And we, he said, man, you know, we made a mistake. He felt that way. And then he would bounce between doing COC blind stuff with me and then going back to the band when he needed to do that. And I was like, it's cool. I'm just happy to play these songs. A lot of people that love that album never got to see it performed live. Yeah. There was a short window where that happened. And I was very happy to go out with Reed and do that. And then he's gone now. So, you know, maybe we can revisit that sometime. But
it is a beloved album. I will let you know that it is a beloved album. And especially like from me keeping my, you know, my ear to the ground and trying to keep up with stuff and being in different Facebook groups and being part of music forums and this and that or whatever, man. You know, in the annals of COC history, you know, it is looked upon as an important album in their discography, man. So the fans have spoken, man, and they do love that album.
Well, you know, there's people that love only the hardcore punk stuff, and then up to my point, and there's people that like everything that's pepper, 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 and there's people that fall in the other camp. I've learned to like, it is what it is, man. It's like life. You like what you like. You like peanut butter sandwiches. You like this, whatever the fuck, you know. Do whatever you want. I'm just happy for those and grateful for those people that support me and give me credit. But I don't start and end my day with that thought. You know what I mean? It was just part of what I did. You know, it would be easy to be really fucking bitter about it because we were on the verge of big things. but there's no going back, man. So I would, look, if COC, if Pepper reached out to me and said, hey man, maybe we should do some blind shit, that'd be cool. I don't think that's going to happen, but
right.
You know what I mean? Well,
yeah.
I'd be open to it. I don't give a fuck,
So where does the band name lie heavy? Obviously, as you said about songs earlier, we can kind of attach our own meanings to them. A lot of stuff is subjective, you know what I mean? Like they take on a personal meaning to us. I don't want to read too much into the name, but when you name the band Lie Heavy, where does that come from, for you? And like, what are you trying to say with the band name?
Well, it's like shit lies heavy upon you. You know what I mean? That's like where it came from. You get it, right? Like it's just like, sometimes we carry this burden, whatever it is, and it could be everybody's got their own fucking cross to bear, right? So it was like lie heavy, it's like it was about life is hard, man.
Yeah.
Like this shit can lie heavy on your soul or your mind or your heart or literally on your back. You're fucking struggling, going to work, eating shit.
Yeah.
For somebody else, for some motherfucker that doesn't give a fuck about who you are.
Yeah.
It's paying you the bare minimum. And
I know, I know from having friends in bands that sometimes that can be the hardest part of a band is naming the band and not butting heads with another band with that name. Is there another Lie Heavy out there anywhere?
No,
or is
there's not another Lie Heavy, but I tell you, there's like about 30 Leadfoots.
Yeah.
I know, but whatever. But there's no other Lie Heavy band that I know of, and if there is, I will fight them. They can fuck off. Because there's only one Lie.
Yeah.
No, but
I hope they see this. I hope they see this. We will fight them. You heard that right here.
We'll fight them. No, man. It just came to me that I had that name in my pocket before the band existed.
Yeah.
As something like a thought, as in one of my notebooks.
Right.
And just ideas. And then I was like, we started jamming. Graham's like, hey, let's do something together, man. Let's do something. We revisited Leadfoot, and then he's like, I got all these other things I want to try. And then that just organically happened. Yeah. And I was like, hey, how about this? And he's like, dude, I love that name. So here it is,
I also love the song, like one of the groovier songs on there, man, that I really, really, really get a kick out of listening to is Chunkadelic. Are we making fun of fat people with this song?
Oh, no, not at all. Not fuck no, because I'm obviously one of them. I mean, look at me.
Yeah,
me too. No.
I pick on quite a bit too.
I can't talk shit about anyone, man. I just hold the mirror up to myself like, dude, you got nothing.
I love that song.
No, man, no, Chunkadelic's not. It's more like it had this kind of funk vibe to it. Funkadelic and then Chunkadelic, and we're like chunk. We were just probably had a buzz at practice, and we were just talking shit. I don't remember how that happened. It was like so with bands, and I'm sure a lot of people in bands or people that are friends with people in bands or no. So with a lot of stuff, everything's a private joke sometimes or an inside joke. And there's demo names and then there's the real name of the song. So there's the names that we kick around behind the scenes and then we're like, we can't call it that because that's ridiculous. But I think Chunkadelic was one of those like ones that like pulled out like, no, it's a keeper because it's such a ridiculous idea. So absolutely nothing about, it's not about fat shaming anybody or nothing like that. It's not about Campbell's Chunky Soup or nothing. I mean, it's just about it's just a fucking song. I don't know the fuck that comes from.
It just came from a night of a bunch of guys getting together playing rock and roll, maybe a little tipsy and maybe a little buzzed.
Maybe a little buzz. Who the fuck knows? But yeah, that's where that came from.
And now, what about touring, man? You've been doing this for a long time, and do you still? Because I know me being 51 years old, it takes a lot nowadays. I've really become more of a homebody. I will still go out and have fun. I do still love to go see live music, but you get older, you really love your creature comforts a lot. Do you still like the nomadic existence of kind of going out on the road? And how long do you like to be out there for? Do you have like a set timeline of?
Well, this time in my life, full disclosure, look, rock and roll certainly hasn't made me rich. It's like I'm not walking to the mailbox and like, oh, look, another $1 million. You know what I mean? No fucking way. I mean, with the age we live in with streaming and stuff, you get like micro pennies on a billion streams. There's no money in music unless you're fucking a megastar out there. There are bands that do really well and they're good with their merchandise. They're good with their band camps. They're good with that. But it is incredibly difficult to make a living off this stuff. It's I'm anybody who does, mad respect. Like you know, so we all have day jobs. We're just like everybody else out there.
Right.
But we're lucky enough that we still get to do art and that somebody gives a shit about it. So,
yeah.
What was the question? I mean,
about touring and about how long you like
touring,
to go out and tour for.
Yeah. So because we all have these fucking day jobs and doing our thing, you know, weekends are cool, and then we'll do like, you know, 10 days is okay and doable. I would say a couple weeks maybe.
Yeah.
Going out like the old days and going like, hey, I'm going to be gone for fucking 4 months.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough because, you know, there's a mortgage and there's bills and there's, you know, responsibilities. And fuck, it hurts, right? You know, so we're not like spring chickens anymore. So
yeah,
I don't think that model applies as much anymore in the age that the age of, you know, streaming and the live, you know, like live streaming and casting and, you know, everything that people do in this day and age that we live in. I don't know if it's completely necessary, but I used to love it, and I'm not opposed to it, but it also sucks to be out there eating shit and losing money, right? So
yeah.
So for us right now, it's more about like kick-ass festivals, doing the festivals, doing dates attached around the festivals. You know, if things make sense, they make sense. So,
I'd be more than happy to cash app you some money to come play in the backyard.
Right on. Why not?
You guys are open to backyard parties and bar mitzvahs?
Yeah, bar mitzvahs. You know, yeah.
Weddings.
You know, weddings. You know, no brisses though. No brisses.
No brisses. You got to draw the line somewhere.
Draw the line, no, man.
And now, because you know, Lie Heavy is your baby, as you referred to it, man. Who takes care of, you know, it always seems like there's one guy in every band who's got the head for, you know, the business side of it. Is that guy you?
No, it's not me, man. Believe it or not. Well, you know, I wish it was me. I'm kind of fucking horrible with money.
Me too.
Honestly.
I am too.
You know,
I am too, man. My wife is much better.
I'm big picture. I'm not. I'm like broad brushstrokes. JD, our drummer, and with the help of his awesome wife Donna, and then and everybody's like significant others kick in too, but that couple. But JD is the fucking guy, and our drummer is a badass, and he's the one who rallies and always lights the fuse and says, "Dude, what the fuck are we up to? Come on, guys! Come on, guys!" I call him Coach.
Yeah.
No, he's awesome. No, he's awesome, and he's like. He's the guy cracking the whip, and he's a badass. And Donna, his wife, is mad skills, accountant skills, and doing the books and the Venmo and the PayPal. It's not like it's a big operation, but what there is handled really, really well by him, and he's always the motivator. So we're lucky to have him and his wife doing that.
And because the business has changed so much, and we are talking about the business like side of it, do you have a definitive, and of course this is just subjective, but do you have an opinion on, I get so many musicians on here, you know, who have that same story, you know, they're doing it for the love and for the passion, but it isn't getting them rich, especially people that play like extreme metal or these niche, you know, markets where they're not like, you know, huge pop stars and getting all kinds of exposure. Obviously, you know, I think the business and record labels could see streaming kind of coming down the pike. Was there a way that the bands are you know, the labels could have harnessed the streaming and maybe made it so it was more profitable for the artists? Because it seemed like all of a sudden the rug was just pulled out from artists. They're selling albums one day and everything is grand, and then suddenly, as you said, they're getting, you know, micro pennies on the fucking dollar, and it's just it's feast or famine suddenly.
Well, I think the labels have never been in the musicians' camp, to be honest. I mean, you look at the birth of music and it being recorded, and especially like all the blues guys and jazz guys that came up that started all of this. Yeah, everybody got fucked over, man. I mean, and majorly bent over. And it you know, there are people that are savvy and had to fight back tooth and nail and do their thing. But I think the record companies have never, ever been about hooking them up. I think they see a lot of the bands as a means to an end. There was that golden era, but so many people got fucked over and didn't make a buck when they should have been, when they were the you know, right. And, you know, listen, just, you don't have to go back that far to figure that out. Right. All the bad, horrible management deals look like Grand Funk, or all the amazing blues guys and jazz guys and early rock and roll guys, especially, you know, especially the the guys from the Black African American community like fucking gotten completely fucking ripped off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they had to fight for every fucking penny, and they fucking invented it. You know?
Right.
And like, I'm just saying, I don't think that the culture's never really been in anybody's favor. Yes, there's been some great indie labels. There's been some cool indie labels, cool people that have stepped in and try to make it better. But I think there's a lot of shitty, human nature.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
dirty business.
And
Envy.
People. There's a lot of selfish motherfuckers out there. So
yeah,
it's always incumbent upon the person that goes in to open their eyes and try to get a grip on it. And I've certainly not been the best on it. I should have probably retained a lawyer multiple times through the years. I'm just kind of like, whatever. Yeah. Not like I would have been rich, but fair is fair, right?
Right.
So, not to get into all those details, but I just, it is what it is, I just, you just gotta, it's something that we just all have to pay attention to, not just for musicians in your daily life. Look, you go to work for the man or whoever it is, and you go to your job, you got to stand, you got to be, if you don't have a union or, whatever, you got to be a union of one. You got to stand up for yourself. You
absolutely.
Don't let people take advantage. Life's too fucking short. There's no reason to like work fucking, 90 hours for some asshole that's not taking care of you. Yeah. So that applies across the board, whether you're playing fucking music or you're fucking, a nurse practitioner or a fucking, pipe fitter or what the fuck you're doing,
Yeah. Yeah.
Or I don't care what you do. You just got to stand up for yourself.
Well, that is my day job. I do work in healthcare. I am a nurse during the day. So, but I picked up on something you said, and man, talk about great band names, man. When you said a union of one might be the greatest thing that ever came out of someone's mouth. I swear to God, that is amazing. Union of one.
I where that came from is I've been doing my I don't want to bore people with the details of my job, but I was at this job years ago that I took on, and then I realized I was kind of getting screwed, and it was right after the recession hit, and but it was just hitting, but a lot of people down here it hadn't fully kicked in 2008,
right? And
I've been in this company for about a year, and another company was headhunting me, and I demanded a raise, and they're like, the guys came back to me like, no man, how about I'll give you like $1, not $2 more, and we'll revisit this in 90 days. I was like, nope. I said, I'm a union of one. I said at that time, and I represent myself. And I said that either you take it or leave, or I'm out. And he's like, it took them like an hour. They came back. Okay. I was like, you just have to stand up for yourself, man. So
that's a better line, dude. That's a better line than Dirty Harry saying, make my day. You looking at someone and saying, I'm a union of one.
I'm a union of one.
Yeah, the best. Yeah. Holy shit.
I'm a union of one.
Yeah. Oh, and the middle finger adds. That puts it right over the top.
Let's make a T-shirt. Union of one.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I'll take a 3X for sure. Put me down. Absolutely. And so I got to ask, man, because you mentioned doing the COC album in '89. Shortly after that, probably all throughout the '80s, really, hair metal or whatever you want to call it. It got pretty derivative with, the sex, drugs, rock and roll. All the songs are about girls and partying or whatever. What did you think around like 90, man, when the grunge explosion happened? For lack of a better word, I know they don't like to be called grunge, but that snapshot in time, though, did you like what those bands were doing? I found some of those bands amazing.
I did. Of course we did. So in 1990, so I was in the COC from '89 to '93. So that was a pivotal moment that you're talking about. And in 1990, the Blind album, there was a couple songs that had been written, but we were just still in process. The album didn't really happen until it was spring of '91, and it came out November 5th, '91. So there was some songs, but we were still, when we were playing live, we were still playing Eye for an Eye stuff, Animosity stuff, Technocracy stuff, and early Blind versions of the Blind stuff. And we went out with 1990 from LA to Boston, 6 weeks. We went out for Soundgarden on Louder Than Love and Danzig Lucifuge 2 for 6 fucking weeks. It was mind blowing. So we were just like, obviously figuring out this whole grunge thing, and you know, we were all about it. Like, we're like, hey, who gives a shit? We get to play with like talented bands across the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I was open to it, you know. I didn't think Nirvana was mind blowing at the time. I was more of a Soundgarden guy, but I got it. And I remember when Alice in Chains came out, I was friends with those guys. I met
them.
Foundations Forum in 1990, and I rode with them in Raleigh. I was on their bus and hanging out during Lollapalooza, and we knew those guys, you know, way back.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were friends with them and saw them play. Who did we see? I saw him play, open up for
Wayne Staley, one of my all-time favorite vocalists.
Oh,
I
man,
love that guy.
I got some pictures of me hanging out with him back in the day. And,
oh man.
Yeah, back in 1990, whatever. But way back. But no, and there was a lot of other great bands that came out of there. And you know, we were friends with Faith No More. We were friends with, you know, people. There was just all this cool shit happening, and we were fortunate enough that we were able to straddle genres at the time. It was kind of a breakthrough where you could go see Primus open for Public Enemy.
Yeah.
You could see Faith No More out with Voivod. You could see, you know, Corrosion of Conformity, Danzig, and Soundgarden together. You know?
See those kind of bands that you're mentioning when you mention like a Faith No More, man. You know, like I talked about earlier. You know, what I mean, when you're trying to find somebody that's doing something cutting edge and exciting, that makes me think of like that Angel Dust album. Those guys just fusing together so much stuff and just being like, you know, kind of at the forefront of doing just cool, genuine shit.
Yeah, they were just fucking cool and didn't give a shit, and they were getting weird and doing their thing, man.
Yeah,
awesome.
you couldn't pigeonhole them into any kind of, you know. And it always seems like the rock and metal world is always so big on genres and fitting people into a neat little box, you know.
And that was a really cool time where those boxes fell apart.
Yeah,
they totally, for a couple of years there was just like, there was no box, you know.
Yeah,
and that's
I kind of look at grunge as almost like a cleansing process. You know what I mean? Like it was almost cathartic for the music business because, you know, the '80s stuff. And while I did love some of those bands, it was becoming a little about the hairspray and the style over substance. You know, you know, I mean, it started to become a little bit derivative of itself.
It needed a kick. It needed a kick in the crotch, man.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Now, what was going on for you at any of your projects? If you can harken back a couple of years, you know, how did COVID like affect anything that you had going on? Did that derail any albums or any tour plans or anything like that?
Lie Heavy was started right at the onset of COVID and before COVID, and then that put a damper on things. But luckily, we were local, and we were able to kind of like, you know, do our thing and share stuff and carefully get back together again.
Yep.
So it slowed things down. We were getting together, and then all of a sudden, you know, the shit hit the fan. I remember recording Patriarchs and Black stuff during COVID. Was the first albums songs I did. I did 4 songs in the first album, and then one on the next, and one on the one after that. But that was all initially just stuff that was digitally transferred. Like I had tracks sent to me by Dan Lorenzo.
Yeah.
With Johnny Kelly playing drums, and then came up with ideas. That he's a great riff writer. Great, you know, and songwriter, and things came together, and it was like a really cool thing. I had the ability to jump on my little home studio here in this office and fuck around with shit and record stuff. So I was very lucky, and I put a damper on things, but also there's always there's an upside sometimes, a silver lining in a tragedy, and for me it was the ability to go inward and write some lyrics and kind of focus on my, myself a little bit, get my shit together.
Now,
absolutely fucked up. And COVID is the reason I started singing for the Skull and Legions of Doom is because the absolute tragedy of Eric Wagner passing. In fact, that was Lie Heavy's first show.
Yep. Was
going to be opening up for the Obsessed and the Skull, and in 2001, and at the height of COVID, and he passed away, and that's 9 months later. After that, I was asked to sing in tribute, and this took off from there. But so that's another COVID story.
And now there's only so many hours in the day, but because, I did read off your resume and you are involved in multiple projects, you know what I mean? Like, how do you divvy up the time, man? Like, what's your time management like, to stay involved in all these projects and still have a day job and have a family and a life and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm fortunate that I've got a really wonderful wife, Jennifer, that supports me. We met at a festival and fucking 20 years ago, at Sleaze Fest in Chapel Hill. We met one time before. She didn't think much of me. She's from Pittsburgh, but we met again in Chapel Hill, and then hit it off.
You softened her up?
I guess, I was probably a little more sober that time, right? And the second time, so I wasn't a complete fucking asshole. But no, so she's always, we met through music, and she's a fan of live music, and has been my rock and supportive, and it's been awesome. So she's made it really easy, and we go to festivals ourselves. And we have a lot of, we support live music, and so I'm really lucky to have that base, that foundation to work off of, and her infinite patience. So so lately there's been a lot of weekends. I've been pretty busy just all through weekends, and lately it's because the Legions of Doom album just came out on September the 13th of this year, 2024. It came out, and Friday the 13th, and so we've been out doing a lot of shit to support that album on TP Records, and
the Skull 3.
Skull 3. So it was all stuff that was written that Ron was lucky enough to and be granted access through the kindness of the Wagner family to get Eric's stuff off his laptop. And there were song lyrics that he'd written with structure that were applicable to riffs and ideas and songs that had been written by Lothar and Ron. And then it all got fleshed out by the rest of us that came together to celebrate the Skull, and then said, hey, there's unfinished work here. And I have the supreme honor of singing Eric Wagner's words and interpreting them. And Scott Riegers was in the same boat. We're brought in to celebrate his life and do this. And now it's morphed into this album that just came out. And it's just been a beautiful experience. And it's a marker, a milestone. And it's time, a way to move forward and come out of a absolutely horrible, tragic thing, and to, shed, to make it something beautiful and memorable, and and this is how we all live forever, right? Not just Eric Wagner, but we all, music creates infinity. It's chords and melodies and, and rhythms. These are the things that survive.
And I imagine it's probably cathartic to a certain extent too, and helps with closure and with healing and stuff too.
It does, absolutely. That's why we have art. That's why we have poetry and literature and painting and everything. All versions of this. So this is how we survive. This is how we translate our pain and our joy and everything in between. And it makes life bearable. For me, the best place for me ever is the only time I feel incredibly, besides being out in nature or something like that, is when I'm transcended and connected to the universe, is when I'm in the middle of music, when I'm either live or recording or just making it happen. That's when I feel connected. And I think that's our connection to, infinity, to everything, to the beyond,
And when you sit down to put pen to paper and you do write, what is where does that initial spark come from? Obviously guys get ideas from movies or from books or from watching the news or whatever, man. Where do you draw inspiration from? I mean, a lot of it, when you say the words will lie heavy, I imagine a lot of it is just coming from the struggles of everyday life.
Well, Lie Heavy specifically, that album was probably the most cathartic songs. The songs, a lot of it came from personal struggle in ways I'd never actually expressed before.
Okay.
With Leadfoot, there was definitely some of that for sure. More than, with Corrosion of Conformity, was never about a personal struggle, as more was me looking at the greater struggle of humanity and life and being on this planet. But but for me, the first really deep dive into that was this Lie Heavy album, Burn to the Moon. The title track, Burn to the Moon, was written just like Buried was for COC on that Blind album, but Burn to the Moon was written when Reed died, and those lyrics came to me, and it was about the pain of when he was leaving us, and happened, those words came out, and then so many moments on that album were about, Lie Heavy is about the world grinding me down, and grinding us down.
Right.
Drag the World was the first song I've ever written about a very difficult, horrible divorce and a father that abandoned us, and didn't pay child support and all that, blah, 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 you know, for me, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's the first time, you know, everybody's got hardships, but it was the first time I processed some of that and put pen to paper,
Yeah.
you know, and kind of touched on that. And there's a lot of moments on the Lie Heavy Bird of the Moon album, the only Lie Heavy album so far, that where it was some personal pain and introspection, you know.
But those are all very relatable topics, though, too, though. So I think no matter what, like when you say, like, you know, blah, 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 people have heavy, you know, been down that road, you know, it's not the first time anyone's experienced that, man. But I still think, though, that people still, like, need to hear that other people have gone through it and, like, their spin on it. You know what I mean? So, I mean, sure. You know, it's all relatable.
Right. And well, and look, and I never want, I've always tried to write broadly enough that people can transpose and insert their own meaning also.
Sure.
And I don't want it to be, you know, misused and be used for some heinous, like, you know, fucked up purpose. I don't think I write like that, but I think I write it so it's open to other people's own joy or suffering, or you know, or their thoughts on something that they can apply to their moment. And I want it to, I want the door to be open to people to interpret, you know, and inject some of their own stuff. And it's okay. That's art, man. You know, you can look at I keep coming back, that's art, man. But I'm serious. So you can stare into like some brilliant painting or draw meaning from it that works for you in that moment.
Right. You could have 10 people. You could have 10 people stand there looking at it, and they all take something away from it differently.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
You know? Now, you know, without diving too much into this topic and getting people like, oh God, he went there. But it is an election year. Are you without going into too much about politics, are you very politically minded, and do you keep an eye on? I do. Obviously, everybody does to a certain extent. Want to know what's going on with their country, but are you big into politics?
I am very much so, but I don't want to. I'm opposed to any authoritarian person that's in it for themselves. You know, that I think we can see which emperor wears no clothes. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm disappointed in the binary. The two-party system, I think, is broken. Yeah. I despise the Electoral College. I despise. I wish that this country had more of a coalition system, more of a parliamentary system where people were forced to meet with each other and come to terms with their differences and make government happen on behalf of the people. I don't think there's a perfect system out there. And I think the American system is a brilliant system in so many ways. But, you know, I think people, I don't want to tell people what to think, but I think we need to remember that history repeats itself. And please just read, you know, like look between the lines, man. Just look, you know, there's some really shitty stuff going on, and it's easy to be manipulated. You know, I don't think there's a perfect answer, but I just I'm not a big fan of the guy that starts with a T and ends with a P. But at the same time, I'm not in love with the other side either. I promise. You know, and I'm not like selling that bill of goods. I think so often we're forced to work on the lesser of two evils, and it become the election cycle in this country is ridiculous. It's permanent. It makes me sick that politicians have to beg and claw for money and donations. Yeah. It's a never-ending process. It just, I think it destroys people with really good intentions, and it sucks. And I think we can do better. I just think all politics are local. So if people are upset with things, then show up for your school board, show up for your local elections, your county elections, your municipal elections. It's right there in front of you. That's where you're going to really feel it. And then if you want to go up the food chain, do that. But if you're pissed off, be involved. Just being mad and going to this, you know, little echo chamber where you're all screaming and just hearing one thing, that's not a good thing. I think we all have more in common. We everybody shits, eats, sleeps. Yep. Wants to, you know, feel good. I think we have way more in common than we have, you know, than we have than what divides us. And you know, I think I'm not trying to be naive, but I think you got to talk to people and listen to people. And I'll sit down with anybody I live in the South. I live in North Carolina. There's a lot of varying opinions. There's a lot of good old boys, and there's a lot of, young, angry people too. It's everything in between. Just have a conversation, figure it out, and try to go for the better angels of, try to do better,
But you're not here to say. But you're not here to say vote for KARL AGELL in 2028. You don't want the job, do you? No.
I don't want the fucking job. But what I want us to do is, I want the rising tide to lift all ships. I want people to get involved, and just take care of each other. We don't have to be a union of one. We can be a union of many.
I was gonna say, if that was the campaign slogan, though, it seems like it can't miss. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll just say, I don't want to piss people off, but I think the orange guy needs to fuck off.
Yeah.
And I think I don't think that doesn't mean I think the other side's perfect by any stretch.
Yeah.
I think we're at a pivotal moment, and we just need to be aware of where this country's come from. I mean, the United States is an imperfect place. It was founded on genocide, slavery, just a lot of bad shit.
A lot of blood on our hands. Yeah.
A lot of, I know it's a model, but there's also just let's look at our actual history. Let's look at the world history. Let's look at privilege. Let's look at suffering. Let's look at all of it. And
we're starting to see a lot of it now with the celebrities all getting in trouble with the Epstein Island and the P. Diddy stuff and all this crazy stuff with these people, with a lot of money, and now it's all starting to catch up with them.
Well, absolute power breeds absolute fucking pain and corruption and shit.
We're seeing that.
Look, it's fucked up, man. You put too much in a small amount of people's hands, and human nature is fragile.
Yeah.
That we're fragile. We're very fragile. And who knows, just with enough people whispering in your ear and enough power, that shit corrupts, man.
Well, it is a prime example too of people thinking that they, that when they start getting up into that crazy, other stratosphere of having that just crazy life-changing money, that they can literally get away with anything. There is that sense of, I'm way above anything, even the law. No,
I know it sucks, man. The rest of us have to sweat getting a fucking traffic ticket and then doing time, right? It's just, I'm just saying that, the working people of the world. I sound like a total it sound like what you think I sound like, but I think that those of us who go out and struggle and work and are out there pulling our fucking our share, and fucking standing up. We need to fucking represent and stand there for each other, and we need to communicate, and we need to have open minds, and we need to let this billionaire class that is fucking skimming off the top. All they're doing, all they do is divide and conquer. They just want us to hate each other. They don't want all of us to come together and to have a real discussion about the real problem is the people, the motherfuckers up top. That shit does not trickle down. They hoard it all.
Yeah.
And we need to fucking communicate, and we need to fucking stand up against them. There's power. There's power when we all come together. We have an incredible amount of power, and it scares the shit out of them. Yeah. So we need to fucking talk. We need to unite. We need to listen to each other.
I guess as a middle-class American, I'll take this opportunity to vent a little bit about having to pay $111 to go see Metallica. I mean, I'm not happy.
No, and that's also, there's also a lot of these corporations like, when I can drop names, Ticketmaster, Live Nation, all this stuff that a lot of shit gets consolidated, and it's crazy. And it's not cool. And the artists need to stand up to it, but also we need to hold the corporations that they work with accountable.
Well, it's kind of crazy. Like when you see like a regular ticket going for like, 75 or 80 bucks, and you figure, okay, that's not bad. These guys have earned the right to charge that amount. But then you see this Ticketmaster doing this price gouging stuff and putting this handling fee on, and you don't even get a physical ticket anymore. It's usually like your phone is your ticket. So I just don't understand like what this process and handling fee is and why it's to the tune of like 20 bucks and above. I realize that they're a business too, but it seems a little, it seems a little heavy handed on their behalf.
It sounds like a bunch of gangsters skimming off the.
It does.
top, right?
It really does. And I have no problem. You know, I mean, I bought me and my son a ticket, and it was, like I said, north of $100, man. But it is a night to see Metallica, Pantera, and Suicidal Tendencies. It's a great ticket. You know what I mean? It's certainly a lot of bang for the buck.
Hey, I'll say it on the flip side too. For the bands that I'm still in this camp, man. For the smaller bands, the people struggling. I mean, I used to pay $5 to see fucking a show back in 1982, and now people still pay $5 to see a show in 1982. Let me tell you, $5 went a lot further in 1982.
Oh yeah,
than it is in 2024. Okay.
Yeah.
So anybody who out there is like, oh, fucking pay $5. I want to be on the guest list, or support your fucking friends, support the band.
Yeah.
10, 15, $20 for a club show. Don't be a fucking asshole. These bands are on the road. They need to fucking put gas in their fucking shitty van.
Yeah.
They need to get one hotel room for the fucking 7 of them, or whatever the fuck it is. You know what I mean? Be cool.
Yeah.
Fucking pay your way. Support the bands. Buy the merch.
Yep.
Give a shit. Show up. That's the flip side.
I say that all the time on here. Yeah. I mean, pick up a T-shirt, pick up something. You know, I mean, it feeds these guys. It gets these guys a meal on the road, or it goes. It seems like a drop in the bucket. You know what I mean? But it's a lot to them. You know.
Oh yeah.
It means a lot to them. And I was telling like a guest on here the other day, my first concert, ironically, was Metallica on the And Justice for All tour when I was a teenager. And the whole night cost me $30. Now, I don't expect it to still be that way here in 2024. Of course not. But $18 for a ticket and $12 for a T-shirt, though, those were the good old days.
Well, they were. But, the venues, these giant venues also, because they're put into the system. I remember when we opened in 1990, opening up for at the Santa Monica Civic Center, the first show of that Soundgarden Danzig tour, the venue was charging a 42% cut in 1990.
Jeez.
You know what it is now? It's way high. And that's why you have the venues are taking a massive cut. So it's all across the board. Everybody's taking their share and wants a piece of the pie. And that's where we're at. So you just got to fight back and make it better for each other.
So let me hit you with my last couple important questions, man.
Sure, of course.
I'll tie it back into music. And another subjective question, but for you, and it can be of any genre. What is your Mount Rushmore of all-time artists? Your top 4, man, that just mean the world to you.
Wow, that's a tough one. Thin Lizzy.
Okay.
Thin Lizzy, yeah. Wow, that's a tough one. Motorhead.
Mm-hmm.
Black Sabbath. And I don't know, in the punk rock scene, man, you saying 4, goddamn it. Fucking like the Bad Brains, early Bad Brains.
Oh, that's a good pick. That's a good pick.
Yeah, so I know, and now I'm sitting here going, fuck, I should have said this. But I'm going with those. Those. Fuck it.
And if I'm dropping, here's the follow-up. If I'm dropping KARL AGELL on a desert island, what's the desert island album that he takes with him if he can only take one? I do like you, Carl, though, so maybe I would let you take the whole discography of your favorite artist. I mean...
Probably fucking Thin Lizzy.
Yeah,
I'm a Thin Lizzy fanatic, but I got to be honest. I've somehow always come back to the third album, man. Vagabonds of the Western World is when they were figuring out who they were. Yeah, they were a 3-piece. They didn't have the dueling guitars yet, but the songwriting on that, and you could feel the emergence and the brilliance of that album. That is one of my. I mean, there's so many albums. Now I'm going to be like, oh, I cheated on this band. I cheated on this.
And it does anger me sometimes, man, that you don't hear in the pantheon of great bands. You don't always hear Thin Lizzy's name dropped by people.
Just the heart, the songwriting, the musical ability, just the whole picture for me. It spoke to me when I was young, and then kept speaking to me. I always want, like, I remember when I was in a hardcore punk band wanting to cover like Gonna Creep Up on You. I finally did with Leadfoot like 20 years later. No, but you know what I mean? Things like that. Just that band, I know. I discovered them when I was very young in the 70s, and then on through the 80s, like, God, I want, and then kept wanting to, be a part of that have that in my, so that's one of the bands. There's a lot of others. There's a lot of great punk, even new wave bands, rock and roll bands, blues bands. There's so much shit. I feel like I'm, I could say like an album like Teos by ZZ Top, or like, there's these perfect albums out there.
Oh yeah, they're out there. Yeah, gems.
Gems. There's so many. I'm, fucking,
so, you've obviously toured all over the place. You've done festivals. You've been out there doing this for a long, long time. Have you ever gotten the opportunity, to meet? I mean, we're grown men, so I don't really want to say starstruck or, turn into a fanboy or whatever. But has there been somebody out there that you've gotten the privilege and the pleasure of meeting that really made an impact on you, that blew your mind?
You know what? The first time I met Lemmy was when COC went over on the first European tour. We were and DRI. It was a COC DRI tour in 1990, and this is before Blind. We were doing all the old stuff, and they were DRI was doing their whole stuff. And we went out and did 39 shows in 13 countries. I remember this. It comes back. I can remember like almost every day of that tour. It was just insane. But we had first landed in London and had a couple of days off. We were practicing, rehearsing, and hanging out. And Pepper Keenan and Woody Weatherman and myself went to grab a beer across the street from the hotel at the pub before the tour even started. Walked in, and I looked over, and I shit you negative. I was like, I think that's Lemmy. And he was over by like a video, like gambling machine.
He loves those. Yeah.
And I swear I'm not making this up. And I was like, I think that's fucking Lemmy. I was, holy fucking shit. And that's fucking Lemmy. We're like, that's fucking Lemmy. I was like, and I worked up the courage, like, because I was a massive Motorhead fan. I'd seen them in the early 80s. In 1985, I saw their 10th anniversary gig in London. Happened to be there. I swear to God. So this is 5 years later. I'm like, oh my God, I got to go talk to him. I go, fuck it. And I worked up the courage. I go, and I waited for him to have a break in the game. When he turned around, he was like, looked like he was heading to the bar. And I said, listen, Lemmy, I'm so sorry. I don't want to bother you, but we're huge fans. We're in a band called Corrosion of Conformity. We're just doing this tour here. And he looked at me and he goes, you boys have the second greatest logo in the world. I swear Lemmy said that. He's like, after the War Pig logo, he called the Corrosion Skull the second greatest logo in the world. He just pulled that out. He pulled that out.
He knew who you guys were. He knew who you guys were.
He did. And Lemmy was my understanding came after that. And everybody I know that had met him said the guy knew what the fuck, he was paying attention, knew exactly what the fuck was going on. He knew what was going on. He was aware of so much shit. He was a brilliant guy.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, he's fucking said this. He goes, you boys have the second greatest logo in the world. I was like, wow. What?
That's high praise coming from him.
I swear to fucking God this happened. And then he bought me a fucking glass he bought me whiskey, and I still have the glass. I drank the whiskey and I stuck it in my fucking pocket.
Oh, that's a keeper. That's a souvenir to end all souvenirs.
I swear that fucking happened. I've met a lot of other people too, but that was like my favorite story of like, please be cool. Please be cool. I love you, man. And he was the coolest.
Yeah, because a lot of times they do say don't meet your heroes. You can be let down sometimes. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that Lemmy would be the kind of guy to let you down. And that sounds pretty consistent with, just stuff I've heard in videos and heard other people say about their encounters with Lemmy. He does always seem to be pretty gracious.
I swear it happened. I'm not making any of it up. Strike me down.
Wow.
It was true.
And he made you prison your logo too. That's pretty cool.
No, we were just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
It was awesome.
And of course, now, unbeknownst to you, you've also gotten a chance to meet Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. too, which is me.
Oh, well, goddamn.
Yeah.
Well, it's my honor and my pleasure.
Yeah. And of course, I haven't got the conclusive DNA testing to prove that yet, but I mean, come on, take a look at that smoldering look right there and take a look at this smoldering look right here, right? I mean,
fuck yeah, man.
Yeah. All I want is just like tell everybody, I just want a little bit of that Panama money. That's all.
Dude.
I'm not looking for much.
No, you need that money, man.
Yeah.
You deserve that money.
He's done well. I'm 51 years old. He's 70. So it's pretty feasible that he was getting busy at 18 or 19 years old and could have spawned me.
It could have happened. Who the fuck knows?
Yeah,
you done the, you need him to do the 23andMe, right? The Ancestry.com.
I do. Yes, I do. I absolutely do. Yeah, and then so I like to think that I have inherited legendary status.
Well, fuck yeah, you have, man. I tell you what, you give one hell of a fucking interview. I'll say that much.
I appreciate you saying that, man. And I'll tell you what, man. It's too bad that we're both singers, because me getting having the frontman genes passed on to me, man. Fucking Union of One could have became a reality, Karl.
Dude, Union of One, brother. Let's roll with that, man. We need to make a T-shirt. Let's make that T-shirt.
Well, we'll just be dual singers in the band. That's all. I'll probably lean heavily on you to do a lot of the heavy lifting. But I mean,
and then we'll be a union of one, and then parentheses +1.
+1. Yeah. And by the way, you do got to give me a shout out though, man. On the serious tip, when you're talking about the COC logo, though, and I'm sure fans might want to know this too, man, where we can cop some Lie Heavy merch, because I imagine you guys must have some cool merch.
Please go to the Lie Heavy Bandcamp page. Just type in lieheavy.bandcamp. whatever it is.
Okay.
We have merch on there for sure. So please buy that. And then
I would love to be a billboard and like appear on these podcasts and occasionally have a Lie Heavy T-shirt on.
Right on, man. Well, look, you need to send me your mailing address, and there'll be one going out to you on the house, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Do you have 3X?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I always feel a little nervous telling people my size, and it's not because of fatness. I'm not chunkadelic here. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that I like my shit to hang kind of long. I am 6'4". You know what I mean? So it's a height thing. It's a height thing for me.
You're a tall drink of water, baby.
I mean, there's certainly weight behind it too. I mean, I'm not ashamed to say I'm about 6'4", 250. You know what I mean? So I am.
Sounds proportional, man. I'm no expert, but
Well, because I always used to do, I did this podcast first, and I did 175 episodes of it, and then me and my son kind of switched gears. He started co-hosting with me, and we did 160 episodes of a boxing one, because we're big, huge boxing fans. So we got to talk to a lot of the greats in the boxing world or whatever. And I always used to get guys on there, even heavyweight boxers, and I used to think, wow, he's 6'4" and 240, 250 too, but it's a whole different 6'4", 250 for these guys. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I hear you, man.
I'm not that kind of 6'4", 250. You know what I mean?
It's all about the reach.
It's about the reach. It is about the reach. Yeah, it is. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, man, Union of One sounds like one of those things that would have been a great tagline for an action movie. You know what I mean? Like, you could have heard them, saying John Rambo. They pissed him off, but little did they know he was a Union of One. You know what I mean?
Well, I better hurry up and trademark that shit.
You better trademark that. I think you and me are both going to be getting to the trademark office. I think we're going to be racing there. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But I will definitely send you my address, man. I would love a Lie Heavy shirt, man. Every guest that comes on, man, I will point at it and I will fucking urge them to go listen to that band. I do it all the time. If I'm really into something, I'm almost ad nauseum with it. You know what I mean? Like, I will force feed it to people. I don't care.
Thank you. And please, if you don't hate it, spread the word on Legions of Doom, Skull 3.
I love it. Yeah.
And then obviously anything Patriarchs in Black. And I'm so grateful for someone like you that is walking the walk, talking the talk, and taking the time to humor some of those old timers like me that still get to do it. So thank you so much, man.
Yeah. I'm inserting. Yeah. I'm automatically now, whether you want me to or not, I'm inserting myself into your life.
I'm down, brother.
Yeah. I want to tell people that I'm KARL AGELL's friend.
Damn right you are.
Yeah. And who knows? Our paths may cross, man. I was just down in North Carolina in May to visit my in-laws. They live in Cary.
Spitting distance from here, man.
Yeah, so we will get up one of these times. Because my wife wants to make it a point now, because my in-laws are in their 70s, getting older, man. So we had this talk on the plane ride back, how she really wants to diligently try to get down there, you know what I mean, at least once a year now at this stage of their life, you know what I mean? They're in good health, knock on wood, man, but you know what I mean, time is precious, you know?
Yeah. I got family up in Maine, and I can't get up there enough, so I know.
Yeah. But look, listen, man, I enjoyed the hell out of this, man, and I really appreciate you taking the time to, reschedule and work with me and be so cooperative and actually, because I wanted the interview to go like this and not with the bad internet connection, so everybody could see and hear you very clearly and everything. So it really means a lot to me too.
Pleasure is all mine, man. Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate it. I'll keep in touch. I'll send you my big fat shirt size and my address, and I will wear your Lie Heavy shirt with pride, and it will literally become part of the backdrop of the Pod Scum podcast. I will wear it religiously. I won't say I'll appear in every episode. That would be kind of disgusting, but I mean, I'll wear it as often as I can. Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you.
I really appreciate it, though, Karl. It's been a real pleasure, man. Thanks. And
awesome.
Anytime something new is popping, man, I'd love to have you back on. We'll definitely keep in touch, man. I'd love to do this again from time to time.
Dude, thank you very, very much. I really, I look forward to that, too.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Karl. Thanks so much. It was good talking to you, man.
You rock, man. Thank you. Thank
you, everybody out there. Union of one.
Unit of one.
Thanks, my friend. Appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
Later, man.
Bye.
There he goes, folks. The legendary KARL AGELL. Let me run off the resume one more fucking time, man. Currently, I am very enamored with his band Lie Heavy. The name of the album is Burn to the Moon. Do yourself a huge favor. This is double Rexx Ruger approved. Go check this album out. Especially check it out if you're a fan of stoner, sludge, doom metal. But it is heavy. It is crunchy. It is thick. If music can be described that way, which ironically enough is the way people usually describe me: heavy and thick, and occasionally stoner. And occasionally doom, I guess. So, but all kidding aside, this is a fucking amazing album, man. And I'm not just saying that because I'm on the heels of a KARL AGELL interview. It is really, and for people that know and watch this show, finding new music that excites me is always a laborious process, man. I do look. And obviously, KARL is certainly not new to music, man. But this Lie Heavy album, which came out last year in 2023, but as he did allude to the fact that the next album is pretty much done and ready to come out, though, man. But Burn to the Moon, do yourself a fucking major favor and go check out this album. You will also know him from Legions of Doom, Patriarchs in Black, which he was wearing the t-shirt of. Legions of Doom also has a new album out, The Skull 3. Do go check that out as well. You might know him from his work in Seizure, Leadfoot, Corrosion of Conformity. An amazing fucking resume, an amazing fucking dude. We started to do that interview, a little backstory, a couple days ago down in his neck of the woods. He was having internet and connection issues. We started recording it. It was very muddled. He was getting very pixelated, frozen, audio crackling and not coming through. He was kind enough to reschedule, man. Got his internet shit in order, man. And he was also in agreement that we wanted to put out the best possible episode we could. And we got it tonight. We fucking nailed it, man. So big, huge thanks to KARL AGELL. Go fucking check out. And this is an order for me and the Freddie Mercury puppet. Go check out Burn to the Moon. That's the name of the album. The band is Lie Heavy. And you will not be. I want to see people in the comment section saying, "Good on you, Rexx. Thanks for hipping us to this fucking album, man." And I genuinely think that you will say that. It's heavy in that way that like a Crowbar would be heavy. Not death metal heavy. Blast beats and fucking Cookie Monster vocals, which is all great too, and it certainly has its place. But heavy in a visceral, fucking real kind of fucking way, man. It does lie heavy on you. It's an album that, it's an album that just descends on you. You know what I mean? It fucking encompasses you and takes you over and just humbles you from start to finish, man. That's my fucking raving endorsement, man. Make sure to follow us on Facebook. Make sure to subscribe, and hit the notification bell on this fucking channel. As you know, this is where all the cool kids come to chop it up with your boy, Uncle Rexx, a.k.a. Diamond David Lee Roth Jr. And even at the end of a long interview, still looking good, still got the coif like Roth. And, of course, that is brought to you by the only product that will get your hair looking right and guarantee a to add to the hole in the ozone layer. Right there, folks. Couldn't get through the 80s without it. So that's my product placement, man. And me and KARL AGELL are part of Union of One, even though there's 2 of us. So, and the rest of you aren't. But if you play your cards right, we might let you in. But right now, it's not an all-inclusive club at all. It's me and KARL's thing. So, But anyway, big thanks to KARL AGELL. Truly a music fucking legend, at least in my eyes, and he should be in all of yours. And what he's put down on this Lie Heavy album has certainly added to his legend status, because it is an amazing fucking album. So I can't thank him enough for doing this. And as I always leave you with these words of wisdom at the end of these little episodes here, remember to take it easy and keep it sleazy.